Thomas Torres wakes up when the woman in row 7 says his full name. Thomas Michael Torres. She's staring directly at him. Thomas has never seen this woman in his life. Grey hair, navy blue sweater, hands folded in her lap. She doesn't look away. "Sorry, do we know each other?" Thomas asks, voice hoarse from sleep. The woman tilts her head. "You don't remember?" "Remember what?" Thomas feels his heart racing. He looks around the Greyhound due 404. 6 other passengers, all awake now, all looking at him. The teenager in 8A with headphones around his neck, the businessman in 4C with his laptop closed, a young couple near the back, all staring. Thomas checks his phone. 1:47 a.m. But wait, he got on this bus at 1 a.m. in Omaha, 47 minutes ago. The route to Wichita should take 4 hours. They should still be in Nebraska, but the last sign he saw said Salina, 30 miles. Salina is in Kansas, central Kansas. That's impossible, unless he slept longer than he thought. But his phone says 1:47. Thomas rubs his eyes. "What don't I remember?" he asks the woman. She exchanges a glance with the businessman. The teenager shifts in his seat. No one answers. The driver, nameplate says J. Morrison, doesn't turn around, but Thomas sees his eyes in the rearview mirror, watching. "Someone please tell me what's going on," Thomas says. His voice cracks. The woman in the sweater leans forward. "The rest stop," she says quietly. "What you did at the rest stop." Thomas feels his stomach drop. What rest stop? They haven't stopped, have they? He tries to remember, got on in Omaha, chose window seat 13 and A, closed his eyes for a moment, and now everyone is looking at him like he's done something terrible. If you've ever woken up and felt like you missed something everyone else saw, leave it in the comments. And subscribe, because this journey is going to make you question every trip you've ever taken where you closed your eyes for just a moment. 2 hours earlier, Thomas purchased the ticket at the Omaha terminal. $47 to Wichita. The 1 a.m. departure. Last bus of the night on Interstate 70. The woman behind the plexiglass, 50-ish, reading glasses on a chain, barely looked up as she printed the ticket. Gate 3 boards at 12:50. Normal. Everything normal. Thomas had a job interview in Wichita at 9 a.m. Cheaper to take the overnight bus than fly. Sleep on the road, arrive early, grab coffee, nail the interview. Simple plan. He found gate 3 with 10 minutes to spare. The bus was already there, engine rumbling. About a dozen people in line. Thomas studied them briefly. The grey-haired woman in the navy sweater was already aboard, visible through the window, settling into row 7. A teenage kid with expensive headphones, Supreme hoodie, distressed jeans, scrolled through his phone. Behind Thomas, a businessman in his 40s reviewed something on a tablet, stylus tapping against the screen. A young couple in their 20s whispered to each other, the girl resting her head on the guy's shoulder. Everyone looked tired. Normal 1 a.m. tired. The driver stood by the door checking tickets. Tall, maybe 60, with a weathered face and grey stubble. Morrison, according to the nameplate pinned to his Greyhound uniform. He took Thomas's ticket, scanned it with a handheld device, handed back the stub. "Have a good trip," he said without inflection. Thomas climbed aboard. The bus smelled like diesel and industrial cleaner, with an undertone of stale coffee and old upholstery. The overhead lights were dimmed to a soft yellow. Thomas walked down the aisle, counting rows. Most of the passengers had already claimed seats. The woman in row 7, the teenager in 8A, businessman in 4C up front. Thomas chose 13A, window seat, emergency exit row, extra legroom. He stowed his backpack under the seat in front of him, pulled out his phone and earbuds. Battery at 73%. Plenty for the trip. Morrison closed the door with a hydraulic hiss. "Folks, we'll be arriving in Wichita at approximately 5 a.m. We've got one scheduled stop at the Salina rest area in about 2 hours. Keep your belongings with you at all times. And please, keep the aisles clear." His voice crackled through the intercom, flat and professional. The bus lurched forward. Thomas plugged in his earbuds, pulled up a podcast about market trends, and leaned against the window. The vibration of the engine was hypnotic, familiar, almost comforting. Omaha's lights faded behind them. Soon there was only darkness beyond the window, occasionally broken by the glow of a truck stop or the scattered lights of a small town. Thomas checked the route on his phone's GPS, Interstate 80 west to Lincoln, then south on 77, then west again on 70 through Kansas, straight forward. He closed his eyes. Just for a minute. When Thomas opened his eyes, or thought he opened them, the bus felt different, quieter. The engine's rumble had changed pitch, or maybe he was just noticing it more. He checked his phone. 1:47 a.m. Wait. He closed his eyes around 1:15, maybe 1:20, so only 25-30 minutes had passed. But something felt wrong. The quality of the darkness outside was different, thicker, and when he looked around, everyone was awake. The teenager had removed his headphones. The businessman's laptop was closed. The couple in the back sat upright, not cuddling, and they were all looking at him. That's when the woman in row 7 spoke. Thomas Michael Torres. Thomas's mind races, trying to fill in the blank. I'm sorry, I don't... When did we stop? He asks. The woman doesn't blink. You don't remember the rest, stop. Thomas shakes his head. We haven't stopped yet. The driver said Selena in 2 hours, and it's only been... He checks his phone again. 1:47 a.m. 47 minutes. The businessman turns in his seat. Son, we stopped 20 minutes ago. You were the first one off the bus. Thomas feels a cold spike in his chest. No, I've been sitting here. I fell asleep for a few minutes, but... You got off, the teenager says. His voice is quiet, careful. We all saw you. Thomas looks at Morrison in the rearview mirror. The driver's eyes meet his for a second, then return to the road. Driver, tell them. We haven't stopped yet, right? Morrison doesn't respond. The silence stretches. Thomas hears his own breathing, too loud. This isn't funny. I didn't get off the bus. I've been in my seat the whole time. But even as he says it, doubt creeps in. Did he? Could he have gotten off and not remembered? He's been awake for... How long? 22 hours? 23. People do strange things when they're that tired. Sleepwalking, sleep actions. But he'd remember getting off a bus. He'd have to. Thomas looks down at his shoes. White Adidas, the ones he put on this morning in his apartment in Denver. They're clean, but wait, there's something. A small smear of reddish-brown on the left toe. Mud? Or... Thomas's mouth goes dry. He leans down, touches it. Dried, flaky. He rubs it between his fingers. Could be mud. Kansas has red clay soil. But why would he have mud on his shoes? Where? Where did we stop? Thomas asks. Nobody answers at first. Then the woman speaks. The rest area. Mile marker 238. You know the one. Thomas doesn't know any rest areas on this route. He's never taken this bus before. What did I supposedly do? The couple in the back whispers something to each other. The girl looks afraid. The businessman closes his eyes like he's trying not to see something. You went into the building, the teenager finally says. The restroom building. You were in there for... I don't know. 10 minutes? Longer? And? Thomas presses. The teenager looks away. And you came back. That's it? I used the bathroom? You came back different, the woman says. Her voice is softer now, almost sad. Different how? Thomas demands. The woman just shakes her head. Thomas pulls up his phone's location history. The GPS tracker should show everywhere he's been tonight. He scrolls through the map. There, Omaha terminal at 12:45 a.m. Then the bus route starting at 1:02 a.m., a blue line following I-80 west. But then the line does something strange. Around 1:25 a.m. it veers south, off the interstate, down a smaller road. County Road 47, according to the map. The line stops at a point labeled Rest Area Closed. Closed? Thomas zooms in. The satellite view shows a small parking lot, a single building, surrounded by empty fields. His GPS says he was there from 1:26 a.m. to 1:38 a.m., 12 minutes. But he doesn't remember any of it. He looks up. My phone says I was somewhere, but I don't remember. I swear I don't remember. Morrison finally speaks, his voice crackling through the intercom. Sometimes people don't remember what they don't want to remember. Thomas feels anger flash through him. I didn't do anything. I was asleep. Or maybe this is a prank. You're all in on it. You somehow spoofed my GPS. Why would we do that? The businessman asks, and he sounds genuinely curious, not defensive. Thomas doesn't have an answer. Why would 7 strangers coordinate to gaslight him? What would they gain? Thomas stands up, needs to move, needs to do something. He counts the passengers. Woman in 7B, teenager in 8A, businessman in 4C. Couple in the back, rows 14 and 15. Wait, are they in 14 or 15? Thomas squints. They're sitting together, but which row exactly? He starts from the front, counting the rows. 1, 2, 3, 4 businessman, 5 empty, 6 empty, 7 woman, 8 teenager, 9 through 12, all empty, 13 him, 14 empty, 15 couple. But that's only 6 passengers plus him, 7 total. When he counted boarding in Omaha, there were at least 12 people in line. Where did the others go? Did they get off at the rest stop he doesn't remember? Thomas walks slowly to the back, past the teenager who shrinks against the window as he passes. The couple watches him approach. Excuse me, Thomas says. Were there more people on this bus when we left Omaha? The guy nods slowly. Yeah, maybe 10, 12 people. Where are they? The couple exchanges a glance. They got off, the girl says, at the rest stop. All of them? Thomas's voice is rising. All of them just happened to get off at a rest stop in the middle of nowhere at 1:30 in the morning? The guy shrugs. After what happened, yeah. People wanted off. What happened? Thomas shouts. Morrison's voice crackles through the intercom. Sir, I need you to return to your seat. Thomas ignores him. Someone tell me what I supposedly did. The girl starts crying softly. The guy puts his arm around her. You don't remember the man in the bathroom? She whispers. What man? What man? Thomas feels dizzy. He steadies himself against a seat back. His hand comes away wet. He looks down. The fabric is soaked. But with what? He sniffs his fingers. Water. Just water. But why is the seat wet? He touches the next seat, also wet, and the next. All the seats from row 9 to row 12 are damp, like someone spilled a gallon of water, or like someone sat in them with soaking wet clothes. Did it rain? Thomas asks. When we stopped, was it raining? The teenager shakes his head. Dry as a bone. But that doesn't make sense. How did 4 rows of seats get wet? Thomas walks back to the front, checking each seat as he passes. Rows 1 through 3, dry. Row 4 where the businessman sits, dry. Rows 5 and 6, dry. Row 7 where the woman sits, dry. Row 8, dry. Then suddenly rows 9 through 12, soaked. Row 13 where Thomas sits, dry. Rows 14 and 15 where the couple sits, dry. It's like a band of water damage in the middle of the bus. Isolated. Impossible. Driver, why are those seats wet? Thomas calls to the front. Morrison doesn't answer, but his eyes flick to the rearview mirror. Thomas sees something in that glance. Knowledge. Morrison knows why the seats are wet, but he's not saying. Thomas returns to his seat, breathing hard. He looks out the window. The landscape is dark, featureless, just the occasional fence post caught in the bus's headlights. But in the reflection on the glass, Thomas sees the interior of the bus. He sees himself, seat 13A, face pale and drawn. He sees the woman in row 7, still watching him. The teenager in 8A, headphones back on now but not playing anything. Thomas can tell because there's no glow from the phone screen. But then Thomas sees something else in the reflection. Row 11. There's someone sitting there. A man. Bulky, wearing a dark jacket, head tilted forward like he's sleeping. Thomas spins around. Row 11 is empty. One of the wet seats, but no one sitting in it. He looks back at the reflection. The man is still there. Not moving. Just sitting. Thomas's breath fogs the window. He wipes it clear with his sleeve. Looks at the actual row 11. Empty. Wet. Nobody there. Looks at the reflection. Man in dark jacket. Sitting. Waiting. Do you see that? Thomas asks, voice barely above a whisper. Row 11. In the reflection. Do you see him? The woman leans forward, looks toward row 11. I see an empty seat, Thomas. No, in the reflection. Look at the window. The woman looks. Her expression doesn't change. I see you, Thomas. I see all of us. I don't see anyone in row 11. Thomas looks again. The man in the reflection turns his head, looks directly at Thomas. His face is wrong. Too pale, eyes too dark, and there's something on his neck, a mark, a bruise, or a wound. Thomas gasps and jerks back from the window. When he looks again, both at the reflection and the actual seat, row 11 is empty. Wet. Nothing there. Thomas can't take it anymore. He stands in the aisle, addresses all of them. I need someone to be honest with me, right now. What do you think I did? Silence. Then the businessman speaks. You went into the restroom building. We saw you go in. A few minutes later, another man went in. Older guy, maybe 60. Heavy set. Dark jacket. Thomas's blood runs cold. Dark jacket. Like the man in the reflection. And we heard sounds. Through the walls. The building is cinder block, but we heard yelling, struggling. The teenager adds, then it went quiet. The woman continues, voice monotone, like reciting facts. You came out first. Maybe 8 minutes later. Your hands were wet. You looked strange. Dazed. You got back on the bus and sat down and closed your eyes like nothing happened. And the other man, Thomas whispers. The couple in the back. The girl is still crying. The guy answers, he never came out. We waited. Morrison went to check. The bathroom door was locked from the inside. Morrison had to call someone, get them to bring a key. By the time they opened it, he stops. What? Thomas demands. What was in there? Water, Morrison's voice says through the intercom. Bathroom was flooded. Water everywhere. The man was lying on the floor, unconscious, pulse but unresponsive. Paramedics came, took him to a hospital in Salina. Thomas feels the world tilting. But I don't remember any of that. How could I do something and not remember? Stress, the businessman says, like it's obvious. Exhaustion, psychogenic amnesia. It happens. Or you're lying, the teenager says, and there's anger in his voice now. Maybe you remember and you're just playing dumb. I'm not lying, Thomas shouts. His voice echoes in the bus. I don't remember because it didn't happen, or I wasn't there, or... But the GPS on his phone says otherwise. The wet seats say otherwise. The water on his hands, he looks down at his palms. They're dry now. But maybe they were wet. Maybe he washed them and they dried. He sniffs them. Do they smell like soap? He can't tell. His sense of smell feels muted. Everything feels muted, like he's underwater, like he's dreaming. Is he dreaming? Thomas pinches himself. Hard. The pain is real. Sharp. He's awake. Isn't he? He pulls out his phone, opens the camera, looks at himself on the screen. His face looks normal. Tired. Scared. But normal. He's not injured. There's no blood. His clothes are dry. How could he have been in a flooded bathroom and come out dry? Show me, Thomas says suddenly. Show me proof, a photo, video, something. The businessman hesitates, then pulls out his phone. He scrolls for a moment, then holds it up. The photo shows the rest area, grainy, taken through a bus window at night. There's a small building, single story, illuminated by one flickering light, and there's a figure walking toward it. The photo is blurry, but the figure is wearing jeans and a grey hoodie. Thomas is wearing jeans and a grey hoodie. That could be anyone, Thomas says, but his voice lacks conviction. The businessman swipes. Next photo, same figure entering the building. Next photo, taken from a different angle, someone else's phone probably. Another man approaching the building. Heavier, older, wearing a dark jacket. The timestamp on the photo, 1:28 a.m. Next photo, the figure in the grey hoodie exiting. Face partially visible, it's him, it's Thomas. Timestamp 1:36 a.m. His hands are raised like he's looking at them. They're glistening, wet. Thomas feels sick. That's me, but I don't remember. How is that possible? You tell us, the woman says quietly. Thomas tries to think. What was he doing at 1:28? He remembers getting on the bus at 1:02, remembers sitting down, putting in earbuds, closing his eyes. Next memory, waking up at 1:47 with everyone staring at him. There's a gap. 26 minutes just gone. Has anyone called the police? Thomas asks. Morrison answers, they're meeting us in Wichita. Thomas's stomach drops. What? Why? To ask you some questions about what happened. But I didn't do anything. I don't even remember being there. Then you'll tell them that, Morrison says evenly. The bus continues through the darkness. Thomas looks out the window. He sees a sign. Salina, 15 miles. Wait, 15? Earlier he saw Salina, 30 miles. But they've been driving away from Salina, not toward it, haven't they? The route to Wichita should take them past Salina, not back to it. Thomas pulls up GPS on his phone. The blue dot showing the bus is heading west. But Wichita is southeast of Salina. They're going the wrong direction. Driver, why are we going west? No answer. Driver, Thomas shouts. Morrison's eyes in the rearview mirror. Calm, steady. Taking a detour. Road construction. What road construction? My GPS doesn't show any... GPS isn't always updated, the businessman says, but the way he says it feels rehearsed, like he was told what to say. Thomas looks around wildly. They're all watching him, waiting. You're all in on this. This is some kind of setup. You drugged me, made him what? He doesn't even know what they claim he did. Assaulted the man. Tried to drown him, and why? What possible reason? Thomas, the woman says, and her voice is almost gentle. Sometimes people do things they can't explain, things they don't want to remember, but that doesn't mean they didn't happen. Stop saying my name. How do you even know my name? You told us, the teenager says, when you got back on the bus. You sat down and you said, my name is Thomas Torres and I didn't mean to. Then you closed your eyes. Thomas has no memory of saying that. None. He stands up, moves to the front of the bus. I want off. Stop the bus. I want off now. Morrison doesn't slow down. Can't do that, son. Not until Wichita. I know my rights. I'm a passenger. You have to let me off after what happened, Morrison says quietly. I don't think it's safe for you to be wandering around Kansas at 2 in the morning, do you? Thomas looks at his phone. 2:04 a.m. But that's impossible. It was just 1:47. That was only... He tries to think. How long has he been standing? 2 minutes? 5? Not 17. Time is wrong. Everything is wrong. He returns to seat 13A, sits down, puts his head in his hands. Is he losing his mind? Did he do something terrible and block it out? Or are they gaslighting him, and if so, why? His phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. I know what you did. Thomas's hands shake as he types back. Who is this? The reply comes immediately. The man in the bathroom knows. Thomas looks up. Everyone is still staring. His phone buzzes again. Another message from the same number. This time, a photo. The rest area bathroom. Water everywhere. And in the water, a reflection. A man's face. Eyes closed. Mouth open. Floating. The man from the dark jacket in the reflection. But the photo is taken from inside the bathroom. From the perspective of someone standing over the body. Thomas drops the phone. The bus slows. Thomas looks out the window. They're pulling into a rest area, the same rest area from the photo. He recognizes the building, the single flickering light. No, Thomas says. No, we're not stopping here again. Drive. But Morrison is already opening the door. The hydraulic hiss sounds like a scream in Thomas's ears. Everyone off, Morrison says. Everyone? The businessman asks. Yes, everyone now. They file out slowly. The woman, the teenager, the businessman, the couple, all stepping down into the darkness. Thomas doesn't move. You too, Morrison says, meeting his eyes in the rearview mirror. I'm not getting off this bus. You already did, 2 hours ago. You just don't remember the first time. Maybe this time you will. Thomas feels tears on his face. "I didn't do anything. Please. I didn't do anything." Morrison turns in his seat, looks at him directly for the first time. "Then prove it, go in there, see what's waiting." Thomas looks at the building. The door is open, light spills out onto the pavement, and there, standing in the doorway, is the man in the dark jacket, heavy set, maybe 60, staring directly at Thomas. But he's supposed to be in the hospital, unconscious, unless he never was, unless none of this happened the way they said. Thomas gets up slowly, walks down the aisle. The wet seats from rows 9 to 12 are dry now, completely dry. He touches one. Nothing. "Go on," Morrison says. Thomas steps off the bus. His shoes hit the pavement. He looks down. The smear of reddish-brown is gone. His shoes are clean, white, like he just put them on. The other passengers stand in a semicircle around the bus, watching. The man in the doorway beckons. Thomas walks forward. Each step feels heavy, dreamlike. He reaches the door. The man's face is clearer now, pale, eyes dark, and on his neck no mark, no bruise, no wound, nothing. "Do I know you?" Thomas asks. The man smiles. "Not yet, but you will, in about 45 minutes, when you get back on that bus and we do this all over again." Thomas turns. The bus is still there. Morrison at the wheel, the 6 passengers watching. But then Thomas sees there's someone else on the bus. In seat 13A, someone wearing jeans and a grey hoodie, someone who looks exactly like him, sleeping, head against the window. What is this?" Thomas whispers. "Are you awake, Thomas?" the man asks. "Or are you still sleeping in seat 13A, dreaming about what you're going to do when you finally wake up?" Thomas looks at his hands. They're wet, dripping, but he hasn't touched any water. "I want to wake up," Thomas says. "Then wake up," the man replies. Thomas closes his eyes, counts to 10, opens them. He's in seat 13A. The bus is moving. Morrison at the wheel. 6 other passengers. The woman in row 7 is reading a magazine. The teenager has his headphones on. The businessman types on his laptop. The couple in the back cuddles, the girl's head on the guy's shoulder. Everything is normal. Thomas checks his phone. 1:13 a.m. The exact time he closed his eyes after boarding. He looks out the window. A sign passes. Selena, 60 miles. Thomas's hands are dry. His shoes are clean. His location history shows only the route from Omaha, following I-80 west. No detour, no County Road 47, no rest area. He lets out a shaking breath. A dream. It was all a dream. He fell asleep and had a nightmare. That's all. His phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Thomas's stomach clenches as he opens it. The message: "See you at the rest stop. 1:26 a.m. Don't be late." And below it, a photo. The rest area. The building. The flickering light. And in the doorway, barely visible, a figure, wearing jeans and a grey hoodie, raising one hand, as if waving. Thomas looks up. The woman in row 7 is watching him. She mouths something. Thomas can't hear it, but he can read her lips. Thomas Michael Torres. She knows his name before he's told her, before any of this has happened. The teenager removes his headphones. The businessman closes his laptop. The couple sits up straight. All of them turn. All of them look at him, and in perfect unison, they smile. Morrison's voice crackles through the intercom. "Next stop, folks. Mile marker 238. 10 minutes. Thomas looks at his phone. 1:16 a.m. The GPS line on his screen starts moving south, off the interstate. Down County Road 47, toward the rest area. He tries to close the app. It won't close. He tries to turn off the phone. It won't turn off. The screen just shows his route, moving closer, closer. And in the reflection on his phone screen, Thomas sees himself. But not the him sitting in seat 13A, the other him, from the rest area. Wet hands, dazed eyes. And behind that reflection, in row 11, the man in the dark jacket sits up, even though row 11 is empty. Even though the man is supposed to be in the doorway of the building, waiting. The man in the reflection smiles. His neck has a mark now, a bruise or a wound, red and angry. And Thomas realizes he's seeing the future. In 10 minutes he's going to get off this bus. He's going to walk into that bathroom. He's going to meet that man. And something is going to happen. Something he won't remember. Something he'll deny. Something that will make 6 strangers look at him with fear and accusation. Unless he's already done it. Unless he's been doing it over and over. Unless the dream is the only truth, and waking up is the lie. Thomas closes his eyes, but he can still see through his eyelids. The road ahead, the sign for County Road 47. The rest area, getting closer. He can still hear Morrison's voice. Mile marker 2:38, 5 minutes. And he can still feel the water, cold, rising, covering his hands, his arms, his chest, his face, drowning, always drowning, never waking. The bus drives on through the Kansas night, and Thomas Torres doesn't remember a thing. Thomas never found out what was real. Maybe it was exhaustion. He'd been awake for over 24 hours. Maybe it was a shared delusion, some kind of mass hysteria on a late-night bus. Maybe there was carbon monoxide leaking from the engine, causing vivid hallucinations. Perfectly rational explanation, except for the text messages, and except for the fact that 3 weeks later, Thomas saw a news report. Greyhound bus number 404 found abandoned on County Road 47, just outside Salina, Kansas. 7 passengers reported missing, last seen at a rest area at mile marker 2:38. Surveillance footage shows all 7 entering the restroom building at approximately 1:30 a.m. None were seen leaving, and except that in the footage, grainy black and white, time-stamped, Thomas sees himself, jeans and grey hoodie, walking toward the building, and behind him 6 other people, woman in navy sweater, teenager in supreme hoodie, businessman with tablet, young couple holding hands, all following, all entering, all disappearing. But Thomas isn't missing. Thomas is home, in Denver, watching TV. Isn't he? So who's the person in the footage? And if the person in the footage is real, then who is watching the TV? And if everyone on the bus is missing, why does Thomas still get text messages every night at 1:26 a.m. saying, "Almost time"? And why does his GPS sometimes show him driving through Kansas on a road he's never been on, at times when he's asleep in bed? So what do you think happened? Did Thomas have a breakdown, or is something on that bus real? Leave your theory in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, hit that like button and subscribe. Because sometimes the scariest journey is the one where you can't tell which version of you is dreaming and which one is drowning in a bathroom you swear you never entered.